الله عليك يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي نفوز فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الكريم في كتابه المبين: ما سلككم في سقر؟ قالوا لم نكن من المصلين. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Dua Abu Hamza al-Thomali is one of the greatest works left behind by our fourth Imam, Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein, Zainul Abidin, salawatullahi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And the words of this dua are truly one of the most penetrating words out of all of the du'as, because dua Kumail, or for example the munajat of Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, or dua Abu Hamza al-Thomali, or dua Makarim al-Akhlaq, is truly all fantastic du'as, which make it as front runners in the competition of du'as for our Imams, because there really was a sense of a competition in the level of greatness of our Imams. They were all great. But of course we know Ali ibn Abi Talib is always number one, because Ali has to be number one. But then you have Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Hussein alayhim salam, all were chosen by Allah. But there were degrees in the positions of our Imams, and whether it's khususiyya or fuduliyya, there's discussion in this in its entirety. However, Dua Abu Hamza al-Thomali is a dua which was given by Imam al-Sajjad to Abu Hamza al-Thomali. And Abu Hamza al-Thomali was given compliments by our Imams like no other companion, and I say this accurately. You would see that the Imam would come to him and he would tell him that indeed, O Abu Hamza, you are the Salman and the Luqman of the time. Now brothers and sisters, just keep in mind who Salman was and who Luqman was. Salman was the most loyal of companions to Ahlul Bayt. When you speak of loyalty, you're speaking of Salman al-Farisi, right? No. They changed his last name because of the level of loyalty which he displayed to al-Nabi. You would see that at one level. I remember one example to clarify it for you is that Rasulullah and Ali ibn Abi Talib are walking one day, and Salman was walking alongside the two. So you can imagine the sun and the moon walking and the stars following along. Imam al-Mu'mineen stops the walk. He tells him, Ya Rasulullah, we're three individuals, so therefore there are three pairs of footsteps, correct? There should be three pairs of footsteps. He told him, Ya Rasulullah, there's only two. Where's the third? He said, yes, Salman is with us. However, Salman follows me foot by foot. Whether I go left or right, the footsteps of Salman will be directly upon my footsteps. So if you're speaking about loyalty, you're speaking about Salman. So number one, give Abu Hamza the loyalty of Salman. Number two, Luqman. Who's Luqman? If you speak of wisdom, you speak of Luqman. Luqman wasn't a prophet. However, he had the wisdom of Nubuwwah. Quran has an entire chapter known as Surat Luqman. If you're speaking about how to learn one's etiquette as a father towards a child, you're speaking about Surat Luqman. If you're speaking about how a child is meant to speak towards his father, that's in Surat Luqman. If you're wondering how how should I speak? What's the volume? Because unfortunately some people at 25, at 40, at 60 still don't know the pitch, the proper pitch to speak up in a conversation. You'll see he screams at the wrong times, lowers his voice at the wrong times. You know, audio and video sometimes is not always aligned with some humans. And therefore you notice that in Surah Luqman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes and tells us, lower your voice, for indeed the most annoying of voices are the voices of the donkey. This is Surah Luqman. If you're speaking about how should I walk, Quran comes and gives you, Allah says in Surah Luqman, walk with humility. Don't hire your cheek with arrogance and self-pride. This is all Luqman. So number one, give Abu Hamza the loyalty of Salman. Give Abu Hamza on another level what? The wisdom of Luqman, that's Abu Hamza Thomali. Dua of Abu Hamza Thomali is a lengthy dua, but it's filled with a number of lines, 3 of which we'll look at today. However, on the first level, you need to understand the etiquette of a dua. Sisters, when I come and I speak to, for example, somebody like Winston Churchill, or I come and I meet somebody like Abraham Lincoln, you know, or even Hitler. These people are prestigious individuals. Good or bad, it's not my job. These people are prestigious. When you come and you speak to somebody like a Hitler, before you come and you sit down with him, you have to read about what Hitler likes. How does Hitler like to be looked at? How does Hitler like to be spoken to? How does Hitler like to be treated? You give him what he wants because he is Hitler. At the end of Adolf Hitler. Now when I speak not to Hitler, not to Winston, when I speak to Allah Azza wa Jal, when I speak to the Lord of Nubuwwah, to the Lord of Imamah, to the Lord of Hussein, and to indeed the Lord of Zahra, I come and I understand there are certain ways. Number one is to make sure you smell nicely. People, they come to the masjid, and wallahi, I ask myself, what kind of tide does his mother use? What kind of tide does his mother use for these socks? You see his shirt? His shirt, you said, wallahi, is that the shirt of Yusuf? I think that he's wearing the shirt of Yusuf, filled with red stains and filled with mashallah. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, of course, what is filled on his. When I come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not only spiritual purity. I'm not going to get into how you need to remove jealousy and arrogance from your heart before you speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, physically, get ready. Brush your hair, brush your teeth, put on some perfume. Tell me, Rasulullah, he spent more money on food or cologne. You know perfume? Imam al-Askari says Rasulullah spent more money on perfumes than he did on his food. Can you live without food? No. Can you live without perfume? Yes. Why did he prioritize what is not a necessity and what is a necessity? You know why? Because wallahi, he's showing us how important it is to smell nicely. So number one, the etiquette. You come to the dua of Abu Hamza Thomali, and arguably the gist of the dua, truly the oil of this dua, and the richness of it is found in these following 3 lines, where Imam alayhi salam comes and says, Oh Allah, why is it every time I get ready to speak to you, and I get ready to stand before you, and I surround myself in the majalis of those who are the repenters, the tawabin, I feel a strong sense of laziness and sadness overcome me. Number one, why is it every time I get ready? Every time I get ready. What is the discussion of readiness? How do I know when I'm ready to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The first indication whether I am ready to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not is my relationship with my parents. There is nothing which is a stronger indication than one's readiness to speak to Allah than his relationship with his parents. Yes, and that Sa'ad, one of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was close to Rasulullah. And on the event of his death, his mother would see Rasulullah carrying his coffin. She would see Rasulullah taking his body and placing it 6 feet under. You know that place where all of us are going to end up. It's him put him 6 feet under. She would be excited. She would exclaim, she would proclaim excitement. Rasulullah tells her, why are you excited the mother of Sa'ad? She would say somebody who Rasulullah is carrying his coffin, and somebody who Rasulullah is putting him into the grave. Of course, Jannah is his result. He said, no. Let me tell you, O mother of Sa'ad, as we speak, he's screaming from the pains of the torture of the angels of death. Why? He told her, O mother of Sa'ad, when you told him to do something, did he do it? No, Allah, Ya Rasulullah. When you told him to go and, for example, bring your brother from school, did he do it? Allah, he made it very difficult for me, Ya Rasulullah. O mother of Sa'ad, how many times did he extend his hand and hit you? Ya Rasulullah, I wouldn't tell this to anyone, but I would tell you, because you are Rasulullah, he did it more than once in his lifetime. He told her, Ya mother of Sa'ad, Wallah, because of all of these instances, as we speak, he's being tortured in this grave. Ahadith come and say, if anyone wants to be worshipped other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know who would be? The parents. Come to the Holy Quran. How many times does Allah command you to worship Him? Directly preceding these verses, you would speak of who? The parents. Saying, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that you worship no one but Him, and to show goodness to the parents. So what is the gauge? What is the indication? What is the level of gnosis where I can tell myself I'm ready? What's your relationship with mom? What's your relationship with daddy? What's your relationship with those who work tirelessly to make you into the human that you are today? No, at this level I'm a doctor. I don't need her anymore. She got me to this point. I'm actually bothered when I see her. I promise you, there's people, when they see their mom, they get bothered. Yeah, you're not ready to speak to Allah. That should be a moment of fearfulness in your life. So the first indication of what the dua comes and says, Ilahi, why is it every time ta'abba'tu? Every time I got ready to speak to you. How do I know if I'm ready? The parents, number one. What happens? Every time I get ready, and indeed what? And I stand up to speak to you. In salah, you can only sit in a few instances. One, if you have lower back problems like me, or for example, if you have like issues, physical disease, physical, for example, malfunction. If you have this malfunction, then of course, according to Ayatollah Sistani and so on and so forth, you can not only sit down, but you can, at one level, if it's a severe case, you can just move your neck. At one level, you can even move your eyes. They say if you're drowning, and it's the time of salah, you blink your eyes. One blink equating to sujood, one blink equating to ruku', one blink equating to tashahhud, and so on and so forth. Even in the Hajj, you're drowning, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how many people I've seen, he's looking at the clock, and he's as if he's challenging the clock. Yup, it's salah time, I'm not going to pray. These people, he's drowning, he's continuing his salah. Amir al-Mu'mineen is struck. He finishes his salah, then he says, Ustu Rabbil Kaaba. Yes? You say, well, he's covered in blood. Wallah, if you believe that the blood of Ali ibn Abi Talib is najis, you follow a different religion. If you believe that the blood of Amir al-Mu'mineen is impure, your religion is some other religion. Because I believe Ali ibn Abi Talib inside and out is pure, and I still stand by whatever has been said in the past. So, standing. And I surround myself in the majlis of Tawabin. So every time I got ready, and I stood to speak to you, and number three, these are all prerequisites. What else, Ya Allah? And I put the effort to sit down and surround myself in good gatherings, not corrupted ones, not dirty ones. What kind of majalis are there today? There's two kinds of majalis. There are majalis of goodness and there are majalis of badness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Holy Quran, He says, oh, you who believe, why is it every time it's been told to you, إِذَا قِيلَ لَكُمْ تَفَسَّحُوا فِي الْمَجَالِسِ يَفْسَحَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. If it's told to you, make space in the majalis, Allah uses the word in the Quran, majalis. He says, then make space. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make space for you. When somebody's coming to sit down in the majlis, you'll see some people just ignoring him because maybe he's not at a financial status which impresses him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when you're sitting in a majlis, one of the etiquettes of a majlis is that when somebody comes and enters the majlis, you move or you make space for him, because like him, You want to be comfortable as well. However, this discussion of majalis and where do I surround myself? Where am I spending most of my time? There's some people, when he studies, there needs to be sound. I've seen students, there's different kinds of students. He says, when I study, there needs to be laughter around me. There needs to be chaos around me. That's when I flourish as a student. Others say, no, it needs to be silent. I need to hear a pin drop when I'm studying. The relationship of the environment and the human is being studied in universities now. Yeah, right now. There's being classes given about what? The effect of the environment and the student and the relationship, nature, nurture, and so on and so forth. So the majalis is one of the ways of showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I'm ready. I'm sitting down in the good gatherings, Ya Allah. Isn't that impressing you? Imam, what does he say? He says, why is it every time I do the 3 prerequisites, I then feel an urge of excitement overcome me? No. An urge of confidence? I did everything that was right. I've done my job. Every time I did the good things, Ya Allah, I feel an urge of laziness and sadness overcome. When Allah loves you, He doesn't answer your dua if it's not in your interest. Yes? Allah, why did you answer my dua? It's not in your interest. Why did I fail this exam? If you're a believer, it was not in your interest. You know how many people, the humiliation of an evil act made them more successful later on in life than the arrogance that came out from a good act. There's some people, he'll do something good, he'll donate, he'll send people to Karbala, he'll build hospitals, for example, or donate to the building of a hospital somewhere in Ethiopia. He'll quench the thirst of children. Nowadays you see commercials, please pay 7 cents, please pay 10 cents. You'll do a great favor for this child in Somalia, this child in Ethiopia. He thinks once he does that, he's done something good for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tell me, Allah, does he need our salah? Allah doesn't need anything from us. Our salah is for us. Allah doesn't need anything from us. He tells him, oh Allah, why is it every time I do these things, yes, you overcome me with sadness? So these lines are things which you need to take on board. These are lines which you and I need to think about and chew. What does the Imam mean by these words? It happened to me. What does it mean? Why every time I feel as if now I'm ready, the doubts come pouring in? And they close in on my mind like the Sea of Musa once it was closed after Musa walked through. You've noticed, I'm serious now. 15 doubts come and smack you in the face. Now I'm ready. 35 different demons which you never even existed and you've never thought about for 20, 50 years. Now they come back understanding before you like an enemy waiting to eat you up like a lion. Why? Because that's how shaitan works. The idea is, are you going to stop or are you going to continue? That's what Allah wants to see. If you pass that level of laziness, which Allah has induced in you, the Imam is saying, that level of doubt and that level of sadness which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has penetrated in your heart, it's a test. You know Surah Al-Ankabut, you know the spider. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah, what does He say? He says, do you think that you can say we believe while we're not going to test you? No. To say I am a Muslim is very easy. And that's why I tell you that we have at least 2 billion Muslims out there. Do you agree? How many mu'mins do we have? A mu'min. What's the difference between Iman and Islam? Islam is ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Iman is aliyun waliyullah. Iman is the gel between the two, Tawheed and Nubuwwah. Tell me, when the Pharaoh indeed commanded the magicians to bow down, and they were about to be killed, what did they say that completed their level of truth and their level of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? They said, Amanna bi Rabbi Musa. We believe in the Lord of Musa and the Lord of Harun. Because there is no Musa without Harun, and there's no Muhammad without Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Are you getting this? Are you recording this? This is a good speech. Is it being recorded? The camera's working. So, what do you find? You find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us with these levels of, oh, I'm so lazy. I'm going to give up now? Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, do you know how much reasons he could have had to stop Karbala? 70,000 versus 72. Allahu Akbar. Doesn't stop. And wallah, if Imam stopped, Allah himself would have pushed him to continue because it's not his decision. Allah tells the Prophet of Islam in the Quran, if you're going to say something out of your pocket, Allah tells Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi in the Quran, we're going to cut you from the jugular vein. Wow. This is Habibullah. This is the best man, and that's how he talks to him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making a point. He says, stop and watch my hand come and shuffle you to the opposite side. Don't stop. Never give up. Never let in, because dunya, there's a lot of reasons, and you've heard that. So, number one is that the dua itself is something which needs to be examined. Just as in a biology lab, there are atoms and there are molecules being placed under the microscope. We need to understand these du'as and dissect them truly in complete depth. We truly need to understand them on a level where we can say we understand what the Imam is saying. Because like the Quran, the words of our Imams have a depth as well. Yes. Like the Quran, the words of our Imams have a level of excitement and a level of uninterrupted progress as well. So these du'as need to be studied by us. And I say, if you are a doctor, if you are an engineer, if you are a lawyer, use your law abilities and your engineering abilities and your medical abilities, which you spent 12 plus years, 4 or 5, some people, you find them until now, he's still in class. Yes, use it to understand the words of Ali ibn al-Hussein. Because tell me, if these professors are struggling to understand laws of Thomas Jefferson and laws of Adams and Smith and so on and so forth, tell me, do you think it's going to be easy to understand the words of Ali ibn al-Hussein? Oh, I read it once, I understood it. According to who you understood it? According to you. And how limited are we? Wallahi, we're so limited. If I was to tell you to do something right now, you'd be like, I can't do that. So, the du'as of the Imam are something which indeed need to be examined. They need to be studied. Memorize lines from Dua Thomali, brothers and sisters. Memorize lines from Dua Abu Hamza Thomali. I see people in their qunut, they do the same dua every single time. Every single time. A lot of people have noticed this. Same dua, same dua, same dua. Ya akhi, change it up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, could he have done, for example, Maghrib, 3 rak'at, Dhuhr, 3 rak'at, Asr, 3 rak'at, Subh, 3 rak'at. Why does it go like 2, 4, 4, 3, 4? Why? Because Allah is changing it. It could have been summer all the time. Could have been winter all the time. No. Allah changes it so that you cannot get comfortable. When insan gets happy with where he's at, this is when you lose. You've lost. If you think I made it, wallahi, you're the farthest away from the finish line. If Ali ibn Abi Talib in his unlimited greatness and in his infinite wisdom comes and says, ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي, I've oppressed myself. Where did you oppress yourself? Show. Why would you say that? You know why ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي? Because there's a frame of reference which Ali ibn Abi Talib has, which we've ignored. ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي, through my limitation in comparison to the unlimited nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي, comparing my greed with the generosity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At this level, the Imam, wallahi, can be the greatest of the great. He'll still think he's oppressed himself. That's the mentality of someone who never stops growing. Born in the Kaaba. Life for Allah, Lord of the Kaaba. Dies facing the Kaaba. This is somebody who's honorable. And wallahi, until today, you have people who place him as number 4. Number 4? Ya akhi, he was number 1 before we even had numerals. He was number 1 before 1 was even something to be mentioned. Ali ibn Abi Talib, angels were saying, Labbayka ya Ali in the heavens. And you have greed and arrogance to not say Labbayka ya Ali. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala burn you in Jahannam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali.
So these du'as need to be studied and they need to be examined. Every Imam established his legitimacy in a certain way. Ali ibn Abi Talib through 2 ways, his knowledge and his sword. Imam al-Hasan through his wisdom in that pact he did with Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, which we'll look at in upcoming nights. Imam al-Hussein, Karbala. And so on. Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam established his legitimacy with his word power and through his language. So every Imam showed their talents which were most fitting for the time in the most fitting of ways. The word power of our Imams was all great, but Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, no one was able to illustrate a picture of a specific meaning like Imam al-Sajjad in the most accurate, articulate, and understandable and simplified way. A 2-year-old can understand the words of the Imam, it will mean something to him. And an alim such as Ayatullah, for example, all of them, they come and they understand it meaning something different to them. You know how difficult that is? I know this guy who was in an airplane, and there was a Hindu next to him. He's looking at this Hindu reading something, and he said, let me just quickly skim my eyes through what he's reading. He looks at the words, he starts to read and read, and he starts to read in English. It says, "Zalamtu nafsi," and "Oh Allah, Allahumma nas'aluka bi rahmatika," and "Miskinan faqiran," yes, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi. At the end of the airplane, he comes in, he tells me, "Excuse me, my fellow Hindu brother, where did you read these lines? Where did you get them?" He said, "This is from an old Hindu book which we've been given by our saints and by our warriors." Told him, can I just quickly look at it? He looks at it, he takes out his phone, he takes out the document, he tells him, this is ours. He tells him, correct, you got us from a warrior, but his name was Ali ibn Abi Talib. Do you know how many such examples we have in the world today? Do you know how much movies I've watched? I watch a lot of movies. And I watch movies and I say, this is a hadith which they took from the books of Bihar and Anwar and implemented it in their movies. When you look at 300, where do you get this idea of a minority against a majority? There is no battle in history which had that much of a ratio difference in warrior against warrior like that in Islam. Be it in Badr or be it in Karbala. You'll notice no one had that ratio difference for real, like that in Islam. Or for example, when we look at movies such as Lord of the Rings, you see at one level a tree starts to walk and a tree starts to speak. That's in Islam. Imam comes, you'll see these kinds of things. Or Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was commanded to make this tree move from one location to another. That's an Islamic steel. So these steels, even in our schools, they'll mention to you, yes, how many facts about algebra. Algebra is an Islamic contribution. Chemistry, pharmacy, this idea of putting medicine and substances and formulas in pills. That's an Islamic invention. Tanning, to take chemicals and gems and material from the world and to use it to change the color of the human being's skin and to darken it, that's an Islamic contribution. Math, algebra, all of it is ours. So Imams were able to establish their legitimacy. But Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, nothing was greater than his ability to articulate complex meanings through simplified wording. And that's why the Imam alayhi salam, when he says, why does it feel in laziness? He's talking about salah, of course. And the verse I began with in chapter 74, verses 42 and 43, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ. Somebody's going to ask people in Jahannam, what threw you into Saqar? Saqar is one of the deep layers of Jahannam. There are levels of Jannah and there's levels of Jahannam. Now, Al-Hawiyah is the last level of Jahannam. Hawiyah is the abyss. This level is for the hypocrites. The hypocrites in the Quran receive the worst level. What's a hypocrite? He says, oh, you need to pray. Then he doesn't pray. You need to respect mom. He doesn't respect mom. That's a hypocrite. Somebody who says what he doesn't do. If you recite Matam for Imam Hussein, if you say Labbaika Ya Hussein, if you say Ya Ali Ya Hussein, Ya Fatima, yes, you need to show that you love Fatima in school. You need to show that you love Fatima in house. You need to show that you love Fatima with friends. So at the end of the day, Imam was speaking about Salah. Ma salakakum fi saqar? What threw you in Saqar? Maybe 4th or 5th degree. What threw you in this level? They said, Ma kunna min al-musallin. Ma nakum min al-musallin. That we weren't from the ones who used to pray. Hadith says the line between Iman and Kufr is Salah. SubhanAllah. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Imam Ali's head was struck in Salah. But Ruqayya was struck when she saw Salah's head. When they brought her the head of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and she would be asking, where is my father, where is my father? Yazid would be in his palace. He hears the screams of the women of Bani Hashim. What is these sounds? Why is there screams? Why are people screaming? Wallahi, I can't speak to you of the details of the musibah of Ruqayya because it's sad. But I'll do my best because there is no musibah that hits it like the musibah of Ruqayya bint Imam al-Hussein. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because when Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam wanted to pray, it was Ruqayya who put the prayer mat in front of him. When Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam wanted to eat, it was Ruqayya who brought the platter of the food before him. Ruqayya alayhi salam asked Zainab, Amma Zainab, where is my father Hussein? You know what she would tell her? She would tell her, Inna abaki ala safarin ba'id. Your father is on a far journey. She would say, please let me see my father, a letter, something. They hear the screams of the ladies of Bani Hashim. Ruqayya alayhi salam sees that, yes, Yazid says, take her this. What is coming to her? She doesn't know. She sees a few men coming with a platter in their hand. They put a cover on the platter and they come before Ruqayya alayhi salam. They place that platter before her. She removes the cover. Do you know what she sees? She sees the head of Aba Abdullah alayhi salam. She sees a severed hand covered in blood. She falls on the bed. Do you know what she says? She says, Aba man alladhi qata'a. She said, Father, who is the one who cut your head? She says, who's there for the ladies after you, Ya Aba Abdullah? But I remember that at one point, her voice would go quiet. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam would turn to Zainab. He would tell her, Amma Zainab, irfa' at-tifla an ra'si walidayhi. She would say, he would tell her, oh Zainab, remove the child from the head of my father Hussein. Why? لقد ماتت الطفلة على رأس والدي. He said, Wallah, the child died, oh Zainab. They take Ruqayya to the lady whose job is to wash the bodies. The lady, it is said at one point when she's washing the body, she stops and she starts to tell her, oh Zainab, I can't wash this body. Why can't I wash the body? She told her, because the body is sick, I see blue and red marks on the body of this little child. You know what Zainab does? Zainab goes to the side and she starts to cry heavily, heavily. She tells her, my master Zainab, what did I say? Did I say anything mistaken? Did I make a mistake today? She told her, oh lady, la wallah, yeah, this isn't sickness, this is from the whips of sugar on the body of إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Raise your hands, mu'mineen, mu'minat. Anyone who has a dua, anyone who has a haja, don't undermine these